the whole writing the Apache Blue Moon and all of that, and the shamanic death process, which to my understanding is like a birth and a death and a rebirth. If you actually look at Freedom Wake, that's really what it is. It encompasses the whole birth, the death, and the rebirth. So I have lived the Freedom Wake, and I will continue to live it, and it will take on different meanings and different extensions as long as I'm blessed to be on this physical plane. But and I find it fascinating that all of this happened, that whole shamanic death experience happened during Easter. And this whole book launch and everything, and the voting and all of the stuff that's led up is around Easter time too. So it totally coincides with the whole concept of resurrection.
So just to go back to the Apache Blue Moon story then, well, actually the beginning of the story when you kind of went through your surrender.
Yes.
And you talked about the content that you journaled without having any conscious memory of journaling it. So is it fair to say that's kind of the initial essence of the book? Because you mentioned that it was a book.
Yes, I actually believe, because it's bringing me back, and of course I didn't realize any of this, and I mean, because again, I don't mentally set out a path to follow. So my personal world gets defined on a daily basis as to how spirit has worked, will work, and is working. Mm-hmm. And that even gets expanded more with who gets brought through my door and who I'm blessed to connect with. And quite frankly, with this whole writing of the book business, in this competition, which I don't like competitions, so I'm choosing to not look at it as a competition. Part of this has been being able to listen to calls from people, and one of them was with Marianne Williamson. And all my apprehension that I had, even throwing my name into this, was the fact of this. The market is saturated. Everybody is unique. Everybody has a voice, and everybody has a story worth reading. But do I really need to contribute to another book on a shelf? Am I doing this for... Where would the energy come to do this? Is it because Cathy Matarazzo wants to have a book that's published? Is it because Spirit's guiding me to do this? These are all the questions. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you came into my world while all of this was, just being birthed. And so, up until that point, before the video pitch was done and released and all that stuff, I had all this. And I mean, people could say you're sabotaging and whatever, but I mean, these were very deep heart thought expressions or truths that were funneling through me. And I really didn't have an answer until I listened to that call, when she basically said exactly everything that I'd been feeling, and said, are you doing this to be rich? Are you doing this to be famous? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Or are you doing this because you have no choice and because you've been told you have to write a book, or because Spirit is guiding you, or God is guiding you, or your heart's being tugged and you just can't do anything about it? I was in tears when I heard that, because that was my answer that came. Mm-hmm. Because this isn't a mind thing. Nothing I do is from my mind. That's why I don't think. Sorry, but I don't normally think. It gets me in trouble. It's always my heart that guides me. I was ordained not because I wanted to be a minister. I was ordained because I had no choice. It's like I'm being so pushed and I can't stop it. And if I'm going to be truthful, if I can be happy in the morning, that means I have to honor where I'm going. And I can't, as much as there's reasons not to, I just can't stop it. And so that conversation that I heard immediately brought me back to 7 years ago to this experience. But what fascinated me the most regarding this was having that memory jogged of that experience 7 years exactly to the date when it happened, seeing the name Apache Blue Moon, but more so realizing that I was told in those 5 days that I wasn't really consciously aware that I was writing a book. So there was my proof that I wasn't doing, you know what I mean? There was my physical, Cathy isn't doing this. This was, and it's taken 7 years to you've kept it sacred. But I've never said no, I'm not doing that, and blah 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 blah. I've kept the dream alive. I've kept the vision alive because I haven't. That's where my faith is. I believe that if it comes through, there's some truth to it. It might be 50 years from now, but there's some truth to it. So
right.
That's the only reason why I said yes to the video, and we submitted it, and we're where we are right now. That's the only reason why, because I needed validation from Spirit that it wasn't my doing.
You've kind of highlighted something else that probably merits emphasizing, which is the whole, when we talk about the Freedom Wake, it's easy to think of it as sort of one wake, or one awakening to freedom.
Yes.
But life is just an ongoing series of unfolding Freedom Wakes.
And so if you were to, again, I'm going to repeat this, but if you were to, there's many different elements that make up that concept. But if you were really to find one sentence to describe a Freedom Wake, yeah, it's a celebration of your freedom, but really it is the waking up to remembering the truth of who you've always been, period. And that's really heaven on earth. That's your soul expressing in the physical.
And that's something I get the opportunity to do over and over every day.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what people don't understand. But you know that because you've allowed your spirit, part of your being, to be part, you've integrated. But people out there who think in order to be spiritual you have to be a monk underneath a tree meditating all day and you have no connection, which is really like a Stone Age kind of thought. Please forgive me, because that's really in this reality with the shift and everything. That I mean, I suppose that could be true, but monks do integrate in the real world. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, well, or at least we would all like to.
Yes, you know, and so that whole concept that you either have to be one or the other no longer is really holds
which again
validity.
Speaks to the balance.
It is about the balance. It's actually harder to integrate what we're speaking of today than it is to detach from the outside world and live in the spirit world completely. Who wouldn't want to? I have. It's magnificent where you see bliss and glory all the time. You don't have to deal with the everyday neighborhood playgrounds that we have where there's so much pain being released, you know, in order for that higher healing to be birthed. I mean, it is much more of a challenge now to integrate these, but that's obviously what we're meant to be doing. Again, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation.
Yeah.